Hey everybody, Anna Krueger here, and I understand there are a lot of you today. I just heard that there's almost 500 people registered for this webinar, which tells me this is a hot topic because we just announced it 24 hours ago. In fact, I think less than 24 hours ago. So I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm going to give you the best that I've got for the next 25 minutes or so. And then I'm going to hop off. I have an appointment right after this. So we're going to have a hard stop at about 5 till. All right, so today we're going to talk about how to fortify your business while in quarantine. And actually, I think that some of the things you're going to learn today, you may love so much that you'll continue long after this is over. There's a lot of efficiency we're going to talk about today and resources you can use to make things more convenient for yourself, for your team, as well as for the people you meet with. So I'm actually going to share screen. And while I'm doing so, I would love for you to type in the chat box and just tell me how you're doing. I've been thinking a lot about everybody, and part of why I'm a coach is I care about you guys and I want to know how you're doing. So let us know, and you can type in as I go through this information. Make sure that you have something to take notes on. I'm going to be in high speed mode today so I can deliver as much as possible to you in the time that we have. So what are we going to go over today? We're going to go over past experience. I'm going to reference what Gary Keller experienced when he was brand new in real estate, and then they had an economic crisis his second month in real estate. So we're going to talk about what did we learn from that experience. We're also going to talk about how to leverage social media. More people are on social media right now than ever, and I have a statistic for you about that. So how can we use social media? We're also going to talk about technology that you can use with your team. And then we're going to talk about client technology, how you can help your clients right now from a distance. Now, part of why I'm bringing this to you today is way back. This makes me feel old. I'm not that old. I'm 38. But in 2006, I became a college recruiter. And it was very similar to real estate in that our job was to call people that had submitted information, find out what they were looking for, go over motivation, and then sign up for something that was really expensive, right? College, 80, 100 grand these days, right? And so I was having to learn, how do I, over the phone, through a video call, have a quality conversation with someone where they feel connected to me, even though we're not in the same room, and then have them do paperwork over the distance. So people could come in and meet with us, but they didn't have to. So I would say about 50% of the meetings way back in 2006 were done over video or over the phone. So I learned a lot in that process. Fast forward, came to real estate in 2013, learned how to set some video meetings then, what not to do, what you should always do. So we're going to talk through that. And as a coach now since 2015, this is the primary thing that I do. Nothing has changed for me this week. Zoom is a normal thing. So for those of you that this is new, you're not quite comfortable with it, I will hopefully, by the end of this, give you a lot of practical things that you can start doing. All right, yeah, lots of good stuff in the chat box. I agree, it is a lot like a movie. This feels like a really strange movie right now. So let's see what we can do to move forward. So real quick, I just want to encourage you. Gary Keller, when he first got into real estate, his very first month, he had 5 houses sold, which, wow, right? First month, he didn't have the experience he does today. This was him when he was brand new. So one month in real estate, he sold 5 houses. Interest rates at the time were between 10 and 18%. So very different than today, right? Very, very different. We are blessed that right now interest rates are low. So we have that working on our side. So interest rates 10 to 18%. And he said the economy went off a cliff and people were having to bring money to close their house. Okay. That was very, very common. And he said for 5 months, he sold no homes at all. No homes, no closings. So what he did during that time is displayed grit. And let's talk about grit for a second. I want you to type into the chat box, how do you define grit? What's your definition for that? No right or wrong answer. I just want you thinking, what does grit mean and what does that look like? So I believe he displayed grit because he stayed in the right activities. Guys, he didn't have a track record to look back on to know this will pay off over time. But he stayed in the right activities. He kept talking to people. When everyone was stressing out, he was the voice of reason, providing value, giving market information. And he kept doing the right thing, seeing no results for 5 months. Well, then when things started to turn around, all of a sudden he had a flood of business. And it was because when things were not at their peak, he stayed in the right activity, doing exactly what he should have been doing. When things got better, flood of business, he still ended up hitting his closing and income goal by the end of the first year and reaped the benefits of all that hard work. The 12th month he took off, which I thought was pretty great. So it just reminded me when he was sharing that yesterday, that economic cycles are called that for a reason. They go up and they go down. So some of you on this call may have been through an economic crisis before, and you know what to expect. Type into the chat box what you learned in the last crisis so we can learn from that. For some of you, this might be your very first economic shift in the midst of your real estate career. So let's learn from those that went before us. And the most important thing right now is to stay in the right activities. If you're joining us from another industry, it's the same message. Stay in the right activities. Keep talking to people. Come from care and concern. The best thing you can do right now is ask people, how are you doing? What's your work situation like? What's your family doing right now? See if they have needs for groceries. What do they need right now? And be a resource for them. That's the conversation right now, is how can we help you? All right, so Gary shared with us that in the lowest point of the recession, there were still 4.3 million homes that sold. That is encouraging, right? So people will think nothing is selling, which I actually haven't heard that yet. People still seem to be moving in the market. We're just having to get creative. But what I want you to do is an action item. I want you to go into your MLS and I want you to go back to the last time we had an economic recession. And I want you to look up how many homes sold in that time period. And here's why. It will help your mindset to remember there were still houses that sold. And I want you to keep in mind what your goal is for the year. And I am willing to bet that the amount of homes sold in your area in the last recession is more than your personal goal is this year. So why not you be the person that sells those homes, right? It might not be as many as we hoped this year. It might not be what you originally set out to do this year. Yeah, I guarantee you that if you look back, your goal is likely less than whatever sold in the last recession. So the point there being, homes are still selling. Let that help your mindset. That also will help the mindset of people you're talking to. So maybe you have people that perceive, in the weeks to come, nothing's happening. That's not true. There will still be people that must move because of a job transfer, or maybe they need to downsize, or maybe they want to take advantage of the market. There are people that have been waiting for this moment and they have cash to buy homes and they want to make some strategic moves. So the point I'm making is people will still sell. We need to have a reality check, which you probably already have had it. Yet we're going to need to work harder to get the same results we got even 2 to 3 weeks ago. Expect that and plan for it. And just know this is not the first time it's happened, and things will get better. The work you're doing today will pay off in the months to come. We need to be prepared that there will be a slowdown and then it's going to ramp back up. When exactly that will be, we don't know. I wish I could tell us, but we know that it won't last like this forever, and it's not the first time it's occurred. All right, let me read the chat box real quick. Yeah, so keep focused on lead gen and serving your clients. Absolutely. Then business is not magic. It requires a lot of work. Yeah, what's happening, guys, right now is people are covering their heads, right? They're in bed covering their heads with the blanket. I don't want to think about this right now. They're taking a vacation. They are going away to an Airbnb to just go get quarantined at the beach, right? And what you're doing, at least what I'm hoping you're doing, is you're staying in the right activities. It will pay off. Just keep going. All right, so let's get into some of the practical stuff. So I want you guys to type in the chat box, what percentage do you think social media use is up? And I'm talking about Facebook specifically. What percentage do you think is it up? And this is as of Tuesday. So as of Tuesday, my guess is it's up even more now because more people are now at home, right? We're getting stricter and stricter with quarantine and things like that around the country. So as of Tuesday, Facebook usage is up over 200%. 200%, guys. You have a lot of eyes right now on your business Facebook page, your personal Facebook page, and that is a golden opportunity for you. You have been given a gift of an audience. And so how are you going to use it? That's what's happening right now. So I want you to think, and actually I would love to have a group mastermind right now, even though we all can't see each other. You can see me, I can't see you. I want you to share with us and have a mastermind. What are some ideas that you have for how you could use social media right now? Yeah, a lot of you guys put in 40%, 63, 90, it's 200. And guys, again, that was 2 days ago. I suspect that that will only go higher. And I'm sure it's all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, you know, all the stuff. It's higher right now. All right, so as far as how you can leverage social media, have a couple ideas for you, and then type in your ideas in the box. But what about doing something like a Facebook Live, or even better, and here's why, I would recommend doing something like a Zoom or whatever platform of your choice. I will be referencing Zoom today because that's the one I'm most familiar with, and it's my personal favorite. But what if you did a Zoom? And the reason I like Zoom is you can capture people's email address. So when you put registration required, make sure you check that little box, registration required. When they join the Zoom, you will be able to gather their email addresses and know who is there, who to follow up with. It's almost like doing an open house. You want to make sure you collect their information some way. That's one thing you cannot do on a Facebook Live, okay? So that's one way that I would recommend using social media to drive people to Zoom. So maybe, and actually I did this for this webinar, and we have almost 500 people signed up in less than 24 hours. But I went on my Facebook page, my business page, ISA Mastermind Group. If you're not in there, go join it, ISA Mastermind Group. And I did a Facebook Live, and I said, hey, I'm going to be doing this webinar tomorrow. Here's the information. The link is going to be in the description of this video. See you tomorrow, okay? And a lot of you watched it. You already told me you saw it. And use a Facebook video to drive people to sign up for your webinar. And that way you can have a way to keep in touch with people and you know who was actually there. So what I would recommend doing is doing something like a buyer class. And it could simply be, have you thought about buying a home and wondering the impact of today's economic situation? Do a class on that. Just like some of you do in-person buyer classes, switch it to an online version. You will get a larger audience. You're going to get a lot more people right now, probably more than you've had attend an in-person class. It's a golden opportunity. So you can do a buyer class. You could do a seller class. Another thing, and I saw some of you type this in, and this would be more of a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live story, is you can do virtual showings. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. But a lot of realtors right now, and it's brilliant. This is what I'm saying. We might keep doing this after things turn back to normal. But do a virtual showing. Walk people through the house on Facebook Live. You're going to get a lot more people looking at it. And guys, here's the thing. Again, you may not see an immediate result from your effort today. Keep going. You do that now when people are at home on Facebook watching what's occurring, and you're going to be the one that they remember when things get back to normal because you're the one in front of them right now. All right, let me keep looking chat box real quick. All right, just looking. Okay, good. Yeah, it looks like we're doing a lot of stuff. A lot of the same stuff that I just said is on there. That's perfect. So Rick said, is the email collection feature also available on the free version of Zoom? You know, I'm not sure. I pay the $149 a year, something like that. It's below $150 for the pro version because I can have up to 100 people. And so on mine, I know that I can have people register. I'm not sure about the free version, but I'm sure if you look that up on Zoom, it can let you know. All right, perfect. I think we're good there. So again, use your social media right now. It's a golden opportunity. And again, don't get discouraged if you don't see an immediate result. I do want to talk about that real quick. I know in coaching with a client just yesterday, they usually set one appointment out of 7 contacts or so. Yesterday it was 17, which is actually still great. That's still above a 5% conversion ratio, which is normal. 1 out of 20 is normal. 1 appointment out of 20 contacts, that's normal. But the point is, here's someone that overnight is now having to more than double her amount of contacts to set an appointment. So just know that. That's part of why Gary Keller is telling us double down on lead generation. Be doing that at least 4 hours a day if you are an agent. If you are an inside sales agent, which if you're wondering what that term is, that's the role where their full-time thing is lead generation, then you want to make sure that you're doing double what you were doing. So it might depend, right? So a lot of us do 6 hours a day as an inside sales agent. So maybe you bump it up to 7 or 8. You're probably not going to do 12. But the point is, get really efficient and ask yourself, okay, if I'm lead generating 6 hours a day, how efficient have I been in the past? And let me make sure I'm being as efficient as I possibly can right now. But the point is, more than ever, make sure you're talking to a lot of people. Guys, how blessed are we? And I'm not being Pollyanna right here, okay? I'm being Anna, like opportunity Anna right here. Is how blessed are we that we work in an industry where we can help control our job security. Now, I always say God is ultimately in control of all things, right? Yet I can have work ethic, and I can show up a certain way every single day. And there's a lot of industries right now where people are getting laid off, and there's really actually not a whole lot they can do about it. However, in our industry, we're going to work a lot harder. We might talk to twice as many, 3 times as many, 4 times as many people, but there are still people out there that need to move, and it's our job to find them and get in front of them. So I think that's awesome. I'm thankful right now to be in an industry. Am I excited about having to double down or quadruple down on the activities? No, I'm not particularly excited about that. I'm just being honest. Yet I'm really excited that I have that opportunity to help make sure that I stay employed right now through my efforts. So guys, we got to buckle down and make sure we stay in front of our people. All right, that was a little bonus. So let's get into some of the tech stuff. So as far as team technology, I'm going to take down the screen so you can see me. As far as team technology, this was something I started doing back in 2013. So when I was an inside sales agent, my team lead generated with me in the morning. I was fine. Afternoon, my mindset tanked, okay, because I was by myself. Well, I know a lot of you right now are by yourselves lead generating or whatever activities you're doing for work. And depending on your wiring, you might love that, or you might feel like you are drowning without that human interaction. So what you can do, and this is what I did back in 2013, was set up something like Zoom, Google Hangouts, and you can go ahead and lead generate with your own team remotely, okay? So you could set something very much up like what we're doing right now. I'm running this through the Zoom, whether you're watching it on YouTube or wherever you're watching it, this is the Zoom platform that we're meeting on right now. So I could invite my whole sales team and have it running on the computer. If it's distracting, I could turn the volume down, but we could lead generate and make calls together. When I did that in 2013, I did it with people from all over the country. And it was amazing because I got to hear what other people were doing that was outside of my team, and it gave me some fresh ideas. So it actually really worked to my advantage to be doing this with people from around the country, not just necessarily my own team. Be selective, find people that are at your level or will take you higher, right? And that way you're leveling up as you do this. All right, so that's one idea is team tech. So you could do lead generation with your own team. You could also do that with other people around the country. You could also still hold your stand-up meetings this way. And a couple tips for you on how to make sure that you stay personal at a distance. And this is true for your client meetings, yet it's also true with your own team. And even as I'm running this webinar right now, one thing that you want to do is make sure that you use their name. I'll put the slide back up in just a second. But it's really, really important when you're on video, okay, it is not the same as being in the same room. It's a different experience. It's still fantastic. But what you have to realize is we need to do extra things to add in that personal touch in order to help them feel connected with us. So make sure that you are using their name multiple times throughout the conversation. Also, because you can see them, mirror and match them as much as possible, which you'll probably naturally do anyway if you're in good rapport. But if they're leaning back, you lean back. If they're sitting like this, with their hands up like this, you sit like that, because that will help you get into rapport with them even through the distance. Now, here's another thing, and this is one of my pet peeves, okay? And I'm going to show you what not to do right now. So this whole webinar, I've been looking right into the camera on the computer. And to you watching right now, it probably looks like I'm looking right at you. To you, it feels like we have eye contact. Well, to me, it feels really weird. because I can see our moderator right now on my screen, and her picture is a couple inches below where I'm actually looking. So for me, it feels as if I'm looking over the people I'm talking to. It looks to me as if I'm looking over their head into the camera. But the reason I do that is because I want you guys or whoever I'm meeting with to feel as if we have eye contact. So I now am gonna actually look at the person I'm talking to. So right now I'm looking at Hannah's picture, and to me, now I'm looking at her eyes. But to you guys, I just broke eye contact. So imagine a whole meeting like this, right? The eyes are looking down. You want to instead look up at that camera and make sure that you have eye contact. So that's another one of my best tips for you guys. By the way, as I'm going, I feel like I'm getting out of breath. I'm talking so fast. As I'm going here quickly, if you have best practice ideas as well, feel free to put those in there. All right, the other thing I would recommend that you do, if you are not comfortable yet, you will be, with running a virtual meeting, a virtual client consultation, I would recommend that you set up a Facebook group and make it private, put maybe 3 or 4 of your good friends in there, and I want you to practice doing a Facebook Live. Believe it or not, and you may not believe this because a lot of you know I do webinars all the time, and it's really fun for me. It's actually, this is what I do the absolute majority of my week. 5 days a week, I'm doing some type of webinar, video, Facebook Live. But a couple years ago, I was very uncomfortable with it. So a friend of mine recommended set up a Facebook group and she had me put her in there, and I would do a Facebook Live and she would give me feedback. And that's how I learned to look at the camera, don't look down. Because I was off looking to the side. I was off, looking at the pictures below. I wasn't looking at the camera. So that helped me to have her watch my Facebook Live, give me feedback in the comments so I could adjust. Did that a couple times, got more comfortable, and then I went onto my personal Facebook Live, and now I do it all the time. So that's another idea. Okay, one last thing for you. Take a breath. I'm trying. I know I've only got like 3 more minutes. Whew. Okay. So another tip for you, what was it? Oh, make sure that you have good facial expressions and that you can use your hands a lot. So we know that when we're in person, it's easier to have good energy going, right? And we want to make sure that we're still exuding that positive energy through the screen. You are going to need to work harder. And so part of what you do when you're a webinar speaker or meeting with a client is you want to use more expressions. You want to make sure that your face is more animated. I have my webinar face and then I have my teaching in person face. And it's the same person, yet I'm much more aware of making sure that I'm animated, that I'm up, than I am necessarily in person, because I know through screen, it's a lot harder to transfer that energy. All right, let me look at the chat box. Well, thanks. You guys are complimenting my eye contact. It took a lot of practice, you guys. That was not easy for me when I first started. All right, let's do the last slide, and then I have some resources for you. So when it comes to your client, let me walk through how you set up this appointment, and I'm going to do my best to do this in the next 3 minutes. By the way, this replay will be on isamapscoaching.com within usually 24 hours. Might take a little longer with everything going on, under the webinar tab. So you can come back and watch this again if you don't catch it now because of moving quickly. All right, so when you go to set an appointment, I put the changes in blue. Okay, so how do you change your wording? You'll see it. So I'm going to say something like, this is my normal script when I set an appointment and have done it this way for years. I'm going to say, okay, let me put you on hold for just 1 second so I can check the calendar. And that's building value, right? Because I'm not free all day. I got to put you on hold so I can check the calendar. Then I come back and say, okay, looks like we can carve out time at 2 o'clock today or 4 o'clock tomorrow. Which one can you commit to? Okay. And the red is like your key phrases right there. Then I'm going to say, all right, well, I'm going to save that 2 o'clock spot for you today. What that means is I will turn away anyone else that wants that spot. Is there anything you can think of that would prevent you from keeping your commitment? By the way, notice nothing is blue. Okay. So at this point, we are not changing our wording to schedule the appointment. Now, those of you that have been in the group coaching program with me, or we've coached one-on-one, you've seen this before. If you haven't seen it before, I recommend that you implement the script right away. I have seen clients go from a 40% appointment held ratio to an 80% held ratio in just 2 weeks using this right here. So this is good. So we're actually not going to change our wording to set the appointment, but here's what you will change, okay? You will adjust expectations. And I'm telling you right now what I learned the hard way. I wish that I had known this when I first started with video appointments way back as a college recruiter, because I'm giving you what I learned from failure. So take note and it'll help you get successful a lot faster. So the first thing you want to do is set a proper expectation. So that might sound something like this. So, hey, Kelly, you know what? Here's the wonderful thing. We can actually do everything over video that we would do if we were at the table, knee to knee, sitting across from each other. In fact, it will be more convenient for you because you won't need to make a drive. And we can do all the paperwork electronically as well. So you're not going to miss anything by the fact that we're meeting over video. So you want to let them know. Sometimes I found that people were nervous, like, well, am I going to miss out on something? And you want to let them know, I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do all the things that I would normally do with you in person. We're just going to do it from the safety of our homes. No difference. All right, then you're going to say, how will you make sure our appointment time, oh wait, I'm reading it. Let me say it as if I'm talking to the client. So we just picked our time. And I'm going to say something like, all right, Kelly, I know that being at home, you've got the kids running around this week. It might be more challenging to remember our appointment time because of those circumstances. What could you do to make sure our appointment time is top of mind so we get started on time? What I found when I set at-home appointments through video is people forgot more easily, I think because it wasn't as significant. They weren't getting in their car. They weren't expecting me to come over. And so it was easy to either watch TV or get stuck into work and forget, oh my goodness, 2 o'clock is here and I'm not even on the video yet. So I found I had to take an extra step to tell them, how will you make sure that our appointment is top of mind so that you don't miss it or be late? And also I'm exuding the idea, this is important, don't miss it. I often recommended set an alarm on your phone. They could tell Alexa to set a reminder these days, whatever works. Ask them what works. The other thing you want to do is tell them what technology you'll be using. Some of them have used Zoom, whatever you want to use. It could be Google Hangouts, whatever. But ask them, what's your familiarity with whatever tech? So what's your familiarity with Zoom? I know earlier today, actually, someone wanted to set a Skype appointment with me. I hate Skype. Every time I've tried to use it, I have an issue with it. It's probably me. A lot of people love it. And I just said, could we switch to Zoom? I'm a lot more comfortable with that. And we did. So be willing to pivot to what they're comfortable with if needed and explain what tech will be used. Okay. Also, encourage them to join 5 to 10 minutes early and let them know, especially if this is your first time using this technology, it will usually download something the first time you use it. So I would recommend joining at 1:50 instead of 2 o'clock. That way we're ready for our 2 o'clock appointment. The last thing is send them a calendar invite. In that calendar invite, put the link for how to find you electronically. And I would recommend include the instructions. So for Zoom, I went to Zoom's website and I just did a search, first time using Zoom. And they had a pre-made, is this your first time using Zoom? Here's some expectations. And so attach that to your calendar invite and that way they know what to do. All right, a couple resources for you and then I'm gonna hop off for my appointment. If you're not already, go to the Facebook group, ISA Mastermind Group. That's where I post a lot of my updates and have a lot of resources for you. Also, I see a lot of you in the box asking about replay. Share this with your friends. A lot of people will benefit. Go to isamapscoaching.com, click on the webinar tab. That's where this will be within 24 to 48 hours. The other thing is you can join our email list for tips and upcoming classes. You can also find that at isamapscoaching.com. I send out 2 email tips a month, and that's also where I keep you informed about classes. Lastly, and we're going to put this link into the chat box for you. This isn't necessarily specific to real estate, yet it will help you with your real estate career. Or honestly, we have people here from all over. Whatever career you're in, or if you're not working, this will help you too. On Saturday from 10 to 11 Eastern, I'm going to do a webinar on just like this. It's going to be an hour long about how to thrive, through your strengths in times of crisis. I did that this past Saturday. We had a lot of real estate agents in there and people from other places, and they said that was excellent, and I had a lot of demand. So we're going to do it again this Saturday, 10 to 11 Eastern. Be in your pajamas, grab your cup of coffee. That's what I'm going to do. And we're going to talk about how can you use your strengths to thrive in times of crisis. All right, guys, that link will be put into the chat box. And I see it right there. It just got put in there. It's also on my Facebook page. So if for some reason you can't see the chat box, check my Facebook page. You could also email me, mapscoachanna@gmail.com, mapscoachanna@gmail.com, and we'll get that information out to you. All right, guys, I'm going to go to my appointment. I trust this was helpful for you. I would love your feedback as to what you thought of this webinar, and go use it. I'd love to know how this works for you. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.